today. I'm joined by Michael Wood-Williams today, who's chair of Small Train UK. Michael will be sharing his thoughts on how he experiences the role of chair, how he's creating space and time to make it more manageable. And he'll also be sharing his thoughts on making what can be a hugely rewarding role exactly that.
From my point of view, non-exec roles are growing in their scope and in terms of the depth of responsibility, the skill set that's required to support an organisation properly. But it is manageable. But for me personally. But I can see that we've got to be really careful in terms of how we make the role accessible so that our boards are properly representative of the communities they serve, that as many people as possible can volunteer or contribute in a non-executive capacity. And we've got to be really careful that we don't continually raise the bar, so actually we exclude more and more people as we go. And I think to some degree it's the work of the chair, working with executive colleagues and other board members to find ways of striking that proper balance between ensuring that the board makeup consists of all of the skills at the time and the culture that contributes to an organisation moving forward, at the same time as making sure that those individual contributions are manageable. Leadership is all of those things that leadership entails. It's about making sure that those working relationships are as productive and as possible. For me, that comes from creating as safe a space as possible so that everybody feels that they can contribute, that they can bring their skills to the table. The executive should feel supported and welcome. I think governance is at its best where conversations are open and transparent and supportive, and the culture is about trying to find successful outcomes through challenge, through scrutiny, but principally through ensuring there's a supportive, safe environment. And all of that comes back to leadership, making sure that my leadership is as it should be, that it is constantly keeping pace with a developing board, that I'm horizon scanning to ensure that I'm meeting leadership challenges as they arise, and that's the work of the chair, I suppose, if I was to put it as a priority. So that's probably my key priority.
Yeah, I think it's about that collective contribution, isn't it? Bringing everyone together under the same umbrella toward the same goal, and you're sort of orchestrating that to happen. And onto that, I think a good chair sets the framework for how the board will operate and encourages trustees to think critically and to contribute openly and positively, as you quite rightly mentioned. If a board is functioning in this way, then surely it makes the role of chair perhaps a bit more manageable.
I think there are a myriad of issues at play here. I mean, leadership is one of them, modelling a values-based approach. And I think helping board colleagues understand, the way that we should work together it can be achieved through a number of different ways. What I've always observed is where boards come together with their wider colleagues to work on an organisation's strategy, particularly where that strategy starts with an organisation's values, and there's that shared understanding of why it is that we're doing what we're doing, and that values are a really important part of getting to where we need to, and obtaining those outcomes for our beneficiaries. It just brings it alive, I suppose, across or through the boardroom, that we should be working on a values-based with a values-based approach. That with a clear view of our strategy, people are raising, I suppose, contributions that move our strategic aims further on. There's a clear vision, I suppose, is what I'm trying to describe. I think it's really hard to find a blueprint of what a chair needs to be doing at any one point in time. I would say it's hard as a chair sometimes to know what you don't know, and to know what you need to be going looking for to find support. So my go-to is to my mentor or to other chairs. So I also sit in non-executive roles where I benefit from seeing some other great people doing amazing work as chairs, and as much as anything I learn from them, and apply what I'm learning there to my own role as chair. My job is to make sure that everybody is as engaged as they want to be, and I think putting in effort to understand my colleagues' needs, what support they need to be able to contribute properly to the work of the board, allows me to ensure that as much as ever possible the work of the board is shared properly across the whole team. I think it's very easy as a point of contact as a chair to have that ability, I suppose, to take on task after task after task. Sometimes that's necessary, time perhaps requires a quick turnaround, and there are one or two things that I might take on, but actually to ensure that the board is properly engaged and my fellow board members are contributing in a way that is meaningful to them, sharing the load and supporting them to be able to do that as effectively as possible helps make sure that the chair role remains manageable. Assuming that you've got the time and you feel you have the skill set, my suggestion would be that anybody who has a particular passion about making change in a particular space, for me, health and young people are causes that I've always tried to support in one way, shape or another. The chair role, whilst it does come with challenges, provides, I think, a unique opportunity to gain incredible insight into the work of any organisation, and to be able to support it in a really, really meaningful way. You can, in the chair role, see the benefit of your efforts in terms of the way you support your colleagues, to executive and non-executive colleagues, to be able to do their work, and where boards are helping set an organisation's strategy, they play a key role in determining the direction of travel and ultimately focusing on meeting the needs of beneficiaries. So for me, it's an incredibly rewarding opportunity. I'm really pleased I took on the chair role at Smile Train. It's something I really enjoy doing.
Lovely. It's been absolutely lovely to speak to you, and it sounds like you're doing well in terms of balancing your various different roles and ensuring that there's lots of engagement with the board, which is really positive to hear. So thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.